How many of you guys have ever had to do this before? You click on a pylon and you click on the location you want to go, and it says there are not enough villagers near that pylon to access it. And yet you have enough villagers there, and the house that you had built there is perfectly fine. And then you go over and you discover that the corruption has taken over your base and moved all of your NPCs out. That's what we're going to be discussing today. Corruption in Crimson is pretty much the worst mechanic in Terraria, and we're going to complain about it a little bit today. So let's go. As you can see, I have corruption very close to my main base as well, and that corruption is spreading across, or tried to spread across. Now, these walls make no difference. It's kind of like an indicator. In order to stop this from happening, I had to make a giant hole in my base, or on each side of my base, that makes my world very ugly. And I'm pretty sure most of you guys have had to do that as well. I got very lucky on the left-hand side. I didn't have to do that. But on the right-hand side of my base, to stop that corruption here, I pretty much stopped it by making a giant hole. Hole doesn't need to be that big, by the way. It's only, I think, 4 blocks wide. But instead of digging 2 holes down, I just use dynamite. I just blow up the ground all the way down to hell. And this entire area here now is corrupted. And it's actually technically isolated because of the hallowed biome right next to it. So I have hallowed here, corruption here, or crimson, and I actually can take advantage of some hallowed farming and some crimson farming in one area. It's brilliant. The way corruption works in Terraria is if you have normal corruption at the beginning of your game, it'll only spread across the surface. It won't really spread on the ground. And if you have no gap here, for example, to stop the corruption or crimson from getting to your base, all you got to do is put down a sunflower, and it keeps the corruption from spawning or corrupting the grass on the surface, which protects your base early game. But then if you kill Wall of Flesh, a big giant V appears across your map, and it usually is mainly in the center, and it just goes all the way up in a giant V shape upwards, and the same on this side. And it goes all the way up to space. I believe it actually begins in space, the V shape, and it kind of, that's where the indicator is. So it's like this sky island here, for example, down, and then down again. So now your world is full of hallowed and crimson. That's where all of this crimson came from. So I'm assuming the V shape on this one went like this. But it doesn't just stop there. Hallowed biome spreads when it pretty much gets in contact with stones, so it can spread out towards your base. Hallowed isn't that bad because your NPCs can live in the hallowed, and that's fine. It's just dangerous for the monsters. However, it's the crimson or corruption that you have to worry about. And once the crimson or corruption starts spreading in the V shape, you get things like this. All of this area is corrupted, and it's starting to get across to my snow biome. I have a giant corrupted area down here as well. And as you can see, all of the ice and snow is turning red from the snow biome. And over here, I have the worst indication of crimson in my world. All of this part of my jungle has been taken over by crimson. And these NPCs right here are going to be at risk very soon of getting taken out. So I did show you about the fact that you can put down a sunflower. And if you end up at an issue where your NPCs can no longer live in an area, let me show you what you can do just to protect your house. So I have a video on how to protect your base in general and how to protect your houses. But if you literally get a shock where the NPCs are moving out of your base or one of your houses across the map, then this is what you're going to want to do. You're going to want to go over to where that house is. You can do this as a preventative measure as well. Now, one of the reasons why it's very annoying that this happens in Terraria in the first place is because the game recommends that you build pylons throughout your world and build houses for your NPCs. But while you're trying to protect your NPCs from just normal enemies and give them a safe place to live where they want to be happy, or where they can be happy, the crimson and corruption also spreads across to them. And while you're taking out other bosses, while you're farming for other items, Now all of a sudden you have to worry about this spread that gets out of control, and then it just randomly moves your NPCs out. You put a lot of effort into putting those NPCs into those houses, and now all of a sudden it's gone. They can't live there anymore. So you have to go do something about it. Now, one thing you could do is you can kill Plantera. For anyone who doesn't know, if you kill Plantera in your world, the corruption and crimson spread slows down. Doesn't stop, but it slows down. And what we're going to be doing right now is we're going to go over to our little base, all of this corrupted area, and we're going to get rid of some of the corruption just to slow it down a bit so that our NPCs aren't going to move out. So we're going to just grab our clentaminator and our green solution, and we're going to go over to where our NPCs are living, and we're going to just give them a little bit of space. I've already killed Plantera in this world, and that means that if I do this, it'll slow it down massively. So clentaminator and some green solution. And I have a video on how to get all that as well, so you know where to get these. I'll link that for you. For now, we're just going to complain a little bit more about the crimson. So we're going to go and discuss a little bit about the crimson and some tips as well. But just let me know, has your world ever gotten this bad before? Pretty much in the comment section below. Let me know what you think of the crimson and corruption yourself. But before we stop yapping about the corruption in Terraria, I just want to go to the Terraria wiki real quick and have a look at one thing in the tip section and one thing in the trivia section. And I'd recommend going here and learning everything you can about the corruption in general if you're brand new. But just for us right now, I just want to read out this part here. In hard mode, it may be worth buying crimson seeds from the giant in a graveyard biome and create an artificial crimson biome. The artificial biome can be used to get crimson tigerfish, the other fish, as well as Echor and Hematic crates. Although tedious. In expert master mode, this can also be used to get the Brain of Confusion. What they're saying here is you can create a crimson biome in a corrupted world to get the crimson items, so highly recommend doing that. Some trivia about the corruption that you might not know. The lengthy chasms of the corruption might be interpreted as worm tunnels evidenced by worm-like boss. Similarly, the chasms in the crimson could be neurons, cells in the brain, related to the associated boss Brain of Cthulhu. Interesting. During the blood moon, 3 critters turn corrupt: the corrupt buddy, goldfish, and penguin. Reference to the corruption. They can also be turned corrupt with vile powder. Eater of Souls can sometimes appear as ambient entities in the background in the surface corruption biome. According to Terraria lore pages, the corruption is a cancer caused by sins of those living in the worlds of Terraria and is strengthened by the vile actions and taunts present in all living beings. Its purpose is to restore balance to life, then destroy it, leaving the world a lifeless abyss. No way. So that is pretty much the lore behind our favorite feature in Terraria, and that's corruption. Let me know how you deal with corruption. Let me know how you get on with that. And thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.